Heyo! BMW 650 convertible. It's an old one. It's nice, it's gray. A friend across the street, one of his friends came over. He said mine looked good. I said, hey, I can make yours look good too. So what we're gonna do in the next day and a half or so is wash it, decontaminate it, clay it. Because this is a gray and it doesn't look like there's any scratches or swirls, I'm going to try to get away with a polish, and then I'm going to put a graphene spray on it. I'm not going to do a full ceramic coat because there's a lot of little rock chips there that I think we're going to come back and get to at a later time. So I've been using a lot of different products, but for this one, I'm going to go back to the chemical guys. We're going to wash it with Mr. Pink. We're going to hit up the tires with the Diablo. Of course, I'm going to use the iron removal from Adams. And then I'm going to try this new product, or new to me, P4 Perfection Polish. See if it works. If it works out great, wonderful. If not, I've got some other products here that I can use in the meantime. So what we're going to do first, we're going to start on these tires, give them a nice good clean, give the car a nice rinse down, hit it with the iron remover, rinse that off, give it a good wash. Might get to clean it tonight. I might wait till tomorrow. I wanted to wait until this evening to get this done because it was 95 degrees out there and pretty sunny. So I got the car from him and put it into the garage a few hours ago so it could cool down just a little bit. As you can see outside, the sun is not bright and shiny. So I'm going to pull this thing back out into the garage, or back out into the driveway, and start taking care of it. So, getting at it. Okay, we'll do just a quick little inspection now that it's out in the light a little bit more. It really is in good shape. We're also going to clean the top a little bit. Never cleaned a cloth top, so we're going to do that. All right. Let's see how well, what kind of protection it's got on it. Probably not much. Yeah. Yep. That's good. So this should be fairly simple to decontaminate and get everything else going. So I'm going to start with that process now. So I used the whole bottle of this. Give it a good squirting. You can see that purple runoff there. That's the iron particulate. I've let this soak a little bit. You can see some of it running down. Not too bad. I was much more heavy on the bottom than I was up on the top, where around the brakes you can see over here with these tires. Definitely lots of iron there. So now we just rinse it all off. And then we'll get to cleaning these tires. so we're hitting the tires up with this Diablo wheel cleaner gel. These are kind of a pain because they're little small spokes, but I use different brushes to get to the different areas. I've got a little detail brush to get into these harder to reach nooks and crannies. So we do our tires first because there's usually more dirt on the tires. If we rinse it off after and do the stuff after we wash the car, we can introduce dirt back onto the car. So I've already done 2 tires and going for my 4th one now. So the light caught up to us. I'm actually giving this a quick wash after the foam cannon, and I'm gonna rinse it off, come back out here and do the same thing in the morning, give it a double wash, and then we will clay it and do everything else. So until tomorrow when it's lighter outside, we'll start again. Different day, different shirt. Okay, before I get started today, day 2 of, do you like my little brooch here? Keeps the wind off me. So let's just turn this thing around because nobody wants to see me. So while the great buddy boy looks along, I got a quick wash in last night, and then the light failed me a little bit. So today I'm going to actually break this up into 2 parts. I'm going to do a separate video on just the vinyl top. This seems to be in pretty good shape, but I'm going to give it a good wash as well. And then before it gets too sunny outside, I'm going to go ahead and get this car washed one more time, and then I'm going to get it back inside and start the clay. You can see that there's a little bit of haziness on the car. Nothing that a little bit of polish won't cure, but overall I don't see any major scratches or anything crazy like that. I mean, the biggest thing that this car has on it are all these little chips. It's obvious that it had lots of little road damage. Let's get a little more light. A little more light on the situation. So I have this 3-inch polisher. I'll also be using my torque. Ooh, it's humid outside. And then that's kind of my messy detail stuff. In fact, while I start doing on this top, I think I'll take some of these microfiber towels and give them a good wash, because they need it too. So again, today we are going to focus on this BMW 650. So we just gave everything a wash and paid attention to the fabric top here using a Chemical Guys convertible top cleaner, and have another video for that. You can hit the link down below if you want to see that specifically. But now while it's still wet and the sun is starting to come out, what I'm going to do is pull her into the garage and start giving it a nice little clay. Last night we were able to wash it. We did the wheels and we did some iron decontamination. You can see there's no protection on this thing. Nothing's beating off. So we're going to strip off some of the other contaminants and then give it a polish. Stay tuned. I know I said I was going to go inside, but it's still okay out here. It's not too sunny. So we've got some clay luber, we've got some of the OG clay bar, and we're going to pull out a little bit of this clay. Oh, it's sticky. Oh, it's very sticky. Well, that is super sticky. Well, I guess it's going to pull some stuff off for sure. Alright, so the key with any clay is don't drop it. It's going to pick up contaminants. You're going to mold it into something that's comfortable on your fingers and your hand. We are going to spray some on the surface. We're going to work small sections at a time, just like this. And you can feel some of the rough stuff as you're getting on it. In this case, that's another chip. Man, these things are all over this car. So I'm going to work my way around this entire car. And if it starts to get too sunny out here, I'll move it inside. The clay luber smells nice, and honestly you can use just about anything, but I was already at the chemical guy's detail garage here in Concord and they had some, so yeah, why not? So we'll keep going. Use nice straight lines instead of circles. I don't want to introduce any scratches into the car. After I do a small section, I'll take this clay, kind of rework it a little bit, and continue on. So I'm going to go on mute, keep the film running, and put some music on. but that is the last I'm gonna use this one. It is dirty. There's a lot of stuff on there. So this is what clay will pick up. I definitely noticed down here on the bottom section that it was pretty rough, so I had to go over it a few times. I'm going to rinse it again, and then I'm going to dry it off and hit it up with some isopropyl alcohol to make sure we get everything else off of there, and then we will make sure it's good and dry, and we'll get starting on polishing. Alright, so we've got a couple of, about an hour and a half or so. Everything's nice and dry, except for the top, of course. Those paint chips really come out on top. You can see them. I'm not a fan of that. I'd really like to fix that. So, top's still drying a little bit. Wheels look good. Car looks good. What we're going to do now is we're going to mess around. This is the torque polisher from Chemical Guys. It's an older one for the 5-inch plate, and I'm going to try out this new Griot's 3-inch for some of the smaller areas. And again, as I mentioned before, I'm going to try P4, see how it works out, and if we need to go a little deeper, we certainly will. So time to go on and get the polishing party started. Alright, so as I mentioned before, I got this Torque 5-inch. I don't know what model it is. Model Torque X. Torques? Yeah. I got it maybe three or four years ago from Chemical Guys when I first started trying this out. We're going to use the black Hex Logic pad that is meant for finishing. I am not your go-to source for understanding what the right pad is for the right polisher. I know I'm going to be using a 3-inch for some of the harder to get areas or the smaller areas, and that will also be a black pad, which should be comparable to the Hex Logic pads. They're very soft, so they're not going to do a whole lot of cutting, and hopefully there is no cutting in this P4 that we're using. First time using this, shake well, 4 to 5 drops, prime it with some pad conditioner, dab it 2x2, and we'll see what happens. So if this works and we put a nice little polish on it, because I don't really, it doesn't need a lot of correction, right? It needs some, but not a lot. It's a great car. It hides tons of scratches that you could otherwise see. I did go over the car with a nice bright light to see if I could find anything good, and nothing big popped out at me. So we're going to give it a good polish, and when we're done with that, we're going to decide what we're going to coat it with. I'm going to squirt out a little bit, close it up. I'm actually going to use my finger and wipe this in. A couple of sprays with the pad conditioner. Move this back over. Give it a little bit of a dab. Put this down on the lowest setting. Start to spread it out a little. You want to make sure you let the pad do the work. You're not putting a lot of pressure down on it. Once we get it spread out, we're going to crank up. Really let this polish do its thing. pass. Be nice and slow with it. And lift it off gently. Let it come to a stop. And now I'm going to take a cloth. I'm going to check it out. Let's just see if we notice a difference here. Just taking a nice soft microfiber cloth. Does that give? Okay, so now that we've put the P4 on, we've wiped it down, looks good. So I'm going to continue to work section by section on this thing. And one thing important to note is it will take more than one pad to do this whole car. Probably 3 or 4. I am going to clean the pad with a brush and an air gun in between panels, so we can hopefully let those last a little bit longer. But this is a smaller car, so it shouldn't take too much effort. We'll just keep the video going so you can kind of watch the process. Okay, so do-over. I was not happy with the black pad. I don't want to do a 2-stage correction, so I didn't want to use the orange pad. That's more of a medium cutting pad. Let me just wait for this car to go. It sounds like a damn jet airplane behind me. Not to worry, that's just the wife getting in the car and going somewhere. Good times. So while the jet pulls away, let's keep talking. So I have the luxury of being near a detail garage here in Concord, and a couple of things. I was using these black pads. These are very soft, right? These are good for polishing, kind of a final thing. These are the orange pads, a medium cutting pad. They're definitely a lot more firm, right? And again, I just didn't want to do a 2-stage polish because this car is not that bad. It's in good shape. So I got kind of in between. I got these white pads. They are for, according to the old instructions, light medium polishing pad, the Hex Logic. I know there's been a lot of talk. If you go to everybody's YouTube channel, it's all about the polish, the pad, the polisher, and the polishee. I'm the polishee, that's the polisher, and that's the polishing pads. So you can get the right mix of things depending on what you're using. I just wasn't happy. There's a bit of a haze on there with the black pad that I want to make sure it comes off, but there's no deep scratches that I need to get in there to work on really hard. So I'm going to start again. Luckily, it's been maybe 2 hours since I started. Did about a quarter of the front of the hood, and I mean, you probably don't even notice a difference. And it all looks pretty much the same, right? So we're going to start again with the white pad, keeping with the P4. Honestly, I was trying to go out and look for some of the 3M or a couple of the other products out there, but stores just don't have those. You got to get those from Amazon. So I'm going to get going here again and start over with the white pads. Okay, so here we go again. Let's get it down to speed 1. Let's get a little dab on here with the old white Pataroony. Speed setting, get it started. And we crank it up. Nice clean microfiber towel. Let's give it a wipe down. Well, I do like what that does better. That is better. Okay, I'm gonna turn the music back on, put you guys on mute, and keep on going. White pads. Okie dokie, folks. We have completed all of the polishing. I wasn't going to mess with the inside, but of course the wife said, you can't not do the inside too, and she helped as always. She loves doing the inside. Tell you, and she said the car smelled like a bowling alley. I don't think it smells like a bowling alley anymore. Again, we can see the leather seats still need some work. I think that'll be round 2. Color Lock makes some products that you can get in there and fix that leather. We took the Armor All stuff that was on there off using some good degreaser. Even this had a much more brown color, and M worked hard at getting some of that off too. So, got towels everywhere. We even got back here into the back seat. You can see the dash looks good. So for a 2008 car, I think this thing looks pretty good. Pretty good. All right. All right. I keep saying all right. Why do I keep saying all right? That's silly. Okay, wipe the entire car down with an isopropyl alcohol water mix. Got all the excess polish off. And now it's time to do a graphene spray coating. Now I have the stronger graphene, but because as I was mentioning earlier, of all of these chips and things, I'm gonna see if we can fix those chips at a later date, and then when we do, we can revisit the coating that we've put on the car and maybe do another coating after. So let me get the camera set up here and we'll start applying this graphene. Alrighty then, so now we've got the graphene, give it a good shake. I have an applicator sponge. I actually have this sponge from back in the day when Xanos, I know Xanos still makes products. I haven't used them in a long time, but this was way before. This was, heck, when was this? 2006, 2007 when I first got those. So I've got these, terry cloth. I know it'll scratch. It's nice though. So we're going to very simply spray this, wipe it on, and work in small sections. If I need to put a little more on there, I will. And this graphene coating, it's the same as the other, it's just less concentrated, so it's not going to last as long. This should give up to a year, they say, if you properly maintain it. Let's hope that we do. You really can't tell on these gray cars. Like the black car or a dark color car, you can see the rainbow flashing, but on these you don't see it very much. But what you will see are any high spots that are left behind. And if I get one, I'll show you, and I'll show you how to fix it. It's as simple as just reapplying the coating again. So I've done this half of the hood. Being that it's 90 degrees outside and pretty humid, I'm not going to let that go for too long before I wipe it off. About as long as it takes me to go and find a clean microfiber towel. And for that, oh look, another Chemical Guys product. This one is smooth on one side and a little nappier on the other. We're going to use the smoother side to wipe it off. And then we'll use the nappier side to buff off. So that is it. Oh, you can see a little bit of the rainbow on here. That's nice. I'm going to flip this over. And we'll just give it a good wipe down. And we're doing this to protect the car, to give it those water beading properties, hydrophilic, hydrophobic, whatever you call it. And as they say up in New Jersey, bada bing, bada boom, that one's done. So we'll move on and we'll do a little bit more of the car here. Do the other side of the hood. I'm going to just keep all three of these things with me. I'm going to put this one in my pocket. It's going to go jing-a-ling-a-ling. Oh, almost sprayed that right on the car. It looks nice going on. It's like putting syrup on a car. Very thin syrup. I'm gonna go cross hatch. Although I'm pretty sure with this spray we've got it pretty well covered. I'm sure a little goes a long way, but I always tend to use too much. We'll see. Alright. Now I am going to do the same thing on the windows. We did take the time to wash the windows nicely with both invisible glass, and we hit it up with some isopropyl alcohol. But I'm going to do that after I get the paint. I'm going to get all this paint done first. So, top of the hood is done. Give that a little bit of time to flash. Give it a look. I bought the kit. You can actually see where you've got graphene on there. Absolutely gimmicky. It's cool. They put fluorescent stuff in here. Woo! Da, 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 da. Mm-hmm. All right. Gonna wipe it off. And I believe it's 4 hours or so before you could get it wet. We're gonna keep it in the garage anyway. Let this cure. I know with the other graphene it's 24 hours. And then it takes 2 weeks. Don't wash it for 2 weeks. I'm going to go back over what I did earlier. Can't do any harm. You just can't do any harm. I'll tell you, this is, if you just had to put this coating on there without doing any of the other work, this would take an hour. Of course, it took 5 or 6 hours with all the polishing and the prep. And you could put it on without any of the prep. You just got to realize that if you've got scratches on there, they're going to stay right where they are, so they're not coming off. They'll just be protected scratches. So I am going to continue to get this car done. Move the camera around a little bit so you can watch. And we'll be finished. I'm going to come back and do the absolute front grille last. I don't know why. It's just the order I like to work, I guess. Come up here. Get these mirrors. This is the first time I've used the spray coating. I have done 2 cars with the full coating. I'll tell you, this is a hell of a lot easier to put on. Faux show. What? Oh, I've got the boss looking at my work. I haven't done anything there. I've only done here. We're waiting for it to flash. Flash, and we're gonna wipe it off. To wipe it off. You want to help me wipe? No. You're an interior only kind of girl, aren't you? She doesn't like the exterior. Well, I'm gonna sit on my fat stool and wipe this stuff off here. I'll tell you though, if you see something before I even get to it that needs wiped, go on and give it a wipe with that alcohol. So, switch it over to the nappier side. Huh? Oh, you talk about that spot there? Oh, I see that one. Well, get a gray cloth. Well, also I can work on. Yeah, let me wipe that off first. Thank you, dear. Do this one, and don't forget the rear view mirror. La 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 la. Of course, this is a mix, homemade mix. Why spend money on people's sprays when it's just rubbing alcohol and water? Just make sure you use distilled water so you don't introduce any spotting. Do as I say, not as I do. This is just regular old tap water. Did I get it, boss? Yeah, sunlight brings out all the errors. I'll tell you, it's hot in here too, but because the sun's shining, kept the garage door open, closed. Is that better, boss? Yes. Thank you, boss. Now, where was I? We spray some on the thing. And we wipe it on. Shout out Xanos, though. You know, anybody remember Xanos? Anybody still use Xanos? If you do, leave me a comment. I really like that stuff. The all-in-one cleaner, the CS Clear. That stuff was really good for like a showroom shine. At the time, I had a Nissan Altima that I bought for my wife, who didn't drive very much then. I know that seems strange, right? Well, she's from the Philippines. I never had to drive a car until she came here. So So I went ahead and got this whole side done. And that should give me just enough, oop, I just sprayed that right on the car. That should give me just enough time to start back up here in the front and give it a good wipe down. 2 times. Oh! Starting with this one. And wipe it down. Let me finish getting this. Forgot I did the whole side. Okay, we'll flip this back over. Do it again. Switch over to this one. And just like that, this side of the car is done. All right, I'm going to keep working on the car and stop talking. And we'll see you back when it's all finished. Okay, here it is. It's all cleaned up. That was one good looking old BMW. Shiny. Got a nice coat of graphene on it. Including the windows. Even put some on the trim here. That trim is, I still like to find some other products that do trim better. Open to suggestions. So this car is ready to go. Now it's important to note, I do not do this as a living. This is just a hobby. So if you have a BMW and you live in Charlotte and you like to take care of it, come on by. Maybe I'll work on it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Got a lot more content coming. I still haven't protected our X7 yet, and I still have to work on the high spots. But this thing came in kind of unexpected, and it's a nice distraction. Now if I could just go take it for a drive, we'll be good to go. Have a great evening, and happy August.